these are life and death issues, and you don't just put out specific targeting information, specific timings of attacks that have not yet taken place into a commercial messaging app.
Hello, everyone. Today, I want to talk about this national security breach that happened on the communications app called Signal. Now, I don't know if many of you use it or not, but it's similar to like WhatsApp or Telegram. A lot of people use it to communicate with family members, friends, and coordinate work type activities. But before I get into it, I just want to remind everybody to please hit a like, share, or subscribe so we can continue to grow the channel. Now, what happened was that evidently there's a National Security Council had started a Signal chat group called Houthi PC Small Group. And by accident, they included a journalist by the name of Jeffrey Goldberg from the Atlantic magazine. And according to him, it was sort of a fake group that somebody had started, and he just kind of went along with it without communicating on the group. And then the group started talking about our plan to bomb the Houthis in Yemen. And the bombing was actually for 13:45 Eastern time, and then the media started reporting at 13:55 that the bombing is taking place 10 minutes later. So all of a sudden, Goldberg figures out this is a real group and writes an article about it, and it kind of blows up in the administration's face. Now, President Trump deserves better because he's gotten this group together of his principal advisors that are cutting corners and are going to get the administration in deep trouble. And unfortunately, most of them have a military background, so they should know how to handle national secrets. I mean, it's really that simple. You go all the way to the vice president, who was part of the group, and some of the other members were Mike Waltz, the national security advisor, Joe Kent, the nominated director for the Counterterrorism Center. You had Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, who should know a lot about, safeguarding national security information, and also has been a big proponent of accountability. And we'll get back to that. Then we've got Marco Rubio, who's been a senator, certainly knows the importance of national security. He's been on the intelligence committees, and also is the Secretary of State. Then you've also got Tulsi Gabbard. She is the Director of National Intelligence, and she's on this group. And you also had John Ratcliffe, the director of the CIA. I mean, this is unbelievable stuff. Also had another individual from the CIA that was not named in the article because he's an active intelligence officer. So Jeffrey Goldberg rightly didn't, reveal his name. And then you've got Stephen Miller, who's a principal advisor, the deputy chief of staff for the president. And you've got Treasury Secretary Bessent. So the problem with all this, there's an Espionage Act. You cannot discuss national security matters in an open forum, especially classified matters, and also ongoing military operations. I mean, this is common sense stuff. This is 101 stuff. There's also a federal records law. All communications have to be safeguarded by law. So these people, by going on Signal, that's not safeguarded information. Mike Waltz, who was the administrator of this group, had put a destruct message on there for 7 days. These messages disappear, right? And that's not allowed. If you harken back to the Hillary Clinton days with their own private server in her house, that was a big deal because this was outside government channels. So the point being is all of these people know better not to discuss these matters on an open commercial channel. It is against the law to do so. We've got classified, high-side type systems that they can communicate on. Now, granted, it's a bit harder to do so because you have to go to certain terminals and all that stuff, but that's what it has to happen. You just can't openly start communicating on Signal and then, oh, by the way, shit happens that you invite a journalist into the group, and this journalist sitting there reading all the message traffic and then writes about it, right? So that's the first issue. Then the second issue is the incident happens, and rather than saying, you know what, we screwed up, they try to push it aside and play dumb. And then eventually they had to come out and tell the truth. And the president wasn't informed about it. President Trump, when a journalist asked him, he said, I don't know anything about it. I'm just hearing this for the first time. So it kind of leaves him sort of hanging in the wind. This administration is so big on accountability. This is a major, major national security breach. And in my opinion, somebody needs to be held accountable. And it should be the person that created the group. Now, there has to be a proper investigation done by the FBI to find out, who created this group and what are the protocols and what other messages and discussions have happened on these open source type applications. We need to clean this up. One of my biggest fears at the outset was when we were nominating many of these cabinet members was my concern was their lack of experience. And this kind of shows their lack of experience. The other concern that I'd mentioned was I hope the wheels don't fall off. And if we don't start keeping the wheels tight by holding people accountable, I'm afraid the wheels may fall off. President Trump is certainly trying to do the right thing by the country, but the people around him that he trusts and he's given them all this authority aren't stepping up to the plate. This was stupid. It was an amateurish act, and it should have never happened. And I hope the White House and the FBI and other security agencies take this very seriously, and they hold the person that started this chat group accountable, and they also hold the individuals that participated on it from J.D. Vance on down, give them a warning, because we can't tolerate this nonsense. Now, remember, many of the people that participate in this chat group have also criticized TikTok because of its connections with the Chinese government. Yet, these are the same people that are talking about national security issues, ongoing military operations on a commercial application. They know better. And, so we got to remember that if any one of us did this, and especially in the military, you would get the book thrown at you. You'd be in deep, deep kimchi. Recently, just an airman has pled guilty to something similar where he leaked classified documents. And this is a leak, although no documents have been released as far as we know. But we don't know what else has happened on this Signal app or other apps, how they've been using these apps. So we got to clean this mess up, and we got to clean it up now. And we got to make sure that people are using formal high-side networks to communicate, rather than whatever's convenient, on their mobile phones. It ain't gonna work. So serious stuff. There has to be accountability across the board. It doesn't matter if you're a politician. It doesn't matter if you're a cabinet level secretary. It doesn't matter if you're a presidential appointee, or it doesn't matter if you're a general officer. Everybody has to be held accountable to one set of laws, and they violated the law. Now, I'm certainly not calling for all of them to be held accountable, but certainly the person that started the chat group should be held accountable. And the other people should probably get a stern warning not to communicate classified or information that pertains to national security on WhatsApp or Signal or these other chat groups. It's a non-starter. You just can't do that because you don't know who has access to it and how easy it is to make an innocent mistake and invite somebody else into that chat room as these people did. And I'm kind of glad it happened because it shows a huge weakness in our system. And we got to plug it up. Now we know what the problem is. Let's fix it once and for all. So this incident is an unfortunate one. It's happened, and we need to put it behind us very quickly by conducting an investigation, holding the person accountable, and moving forward with the president's agenda of downsizing the government, cutting the waste and the fraud that's going on, and focusing on America first. And I think that's very important for his administration. Otherwise, we're going to get sidetracked. So in conclusion, I'd be very interested in your thoughts. What do you think about this incident? Do you think somebody should be held accountable, or should we just set it aside and move forward? Please leave your comments. Before I sign off, please hit a like, share, and subscribe. And that's all I got. Stay rugged, stay united. Khan out.